Okay, let's see. There should be sound and there should be a picture. Hello, welcome to 52 Miniatures. My name is Alex and this is live stream number 25. And I'm just very glad this has worked out. Last time I streamed, the YouTube was not with me and I had to restart everything a couple of times and eventually even start a new stream. But today seems to be working, right? Is there anyone there that could let me know that this is working, or is it just me streaming today by myself? Also, do I look very dark? No, I'm fine. Hello, Adrian. Adrian says, don't smash the like button. Everyone else has to use it. Just press it gently. Indeed. It's like, I was going to say something. I won't say it. Should always be gentle and not smash things. Adrian. Lots of patrons in. Hello, guys. Mr. Bear, finally a day off work and a stream coincided. I know. I have not had a day off. Maybe you can see I'm like slowly melting because of the workload. Slightly exaggerating, but it's been a long week, and now is Friday, and so I'm celebrating here with you guys, which is nice, isn't it? I like to paint minis. Hey, from Arizona, dude, you're the best, and the humor. List building some of my Dungeons and Lasers. Sorry, you see, that's my mind is like. I've seen a lot of Dungeons and Laser things. They do very cool stuff. Do they? Is it only? It's only hard plastic, isn't it? Do they do? They don't do MDF stuff, but they do hard plastic, and they do like future and fantasy stuff, right? How's that going for you? Feudo, hello. I'm glad to hear that you're a cat. You must be a very intelligent cat, as you can and type and join in a live stream. So it's nice stuff. Hello, Alison and Chris. Janne, which is a rather Swedish name, wouldn't you say? Or at least Scandinavian. Hello, Jamie Mayers. And Mark from Montana. Are you not supposed to be driving a car right now, Mark? Please don't type and drive. Ben Ives, good evening. How are you doing? And Jamie McKelvey, how are you? Long time no see. Are you busy or what? Gabriel says, new subscriber here. Love your content so far. I'm glad to hear it. The last video that I published, which is scale miniatures and a Dreadnought from the Horus Heresy, that one rather sort of went through the roof view-wise. I've never had a video do that before, which has been fun. It's just great to see that a lot of people get to see my video. YouTube is funny that way. It's just sort of sometimes you get this snowball effect when a lot of people view, then YouTube spreads the video more, and then more people view, and then YouTube recommends it even further, and so it's been great fun, especially since I put Oscar in the introduction, and I'm just glad that a lot of people get to see Oscar because he's a good friend of mine. But welcome, Gabriel. That's what I was intending to say. Kim, how are you doing? Kim Glud. Did I pronounce that correctly? I met Kim last week in Aarhus in Denmark, and I tried to understand what he said, but he was speaking Danish, so I just nodded and smiled, and it was actually pretty good. We had a nice time, and I was gonna say I had coffee, but I did have coffee, but I also had a beer, I believe. And then Kim took me to his place of work and showed me around, which was his theater, which is a lot of fun. It was good to meet you, Kim. Charmed, I'm sure. Just popping in before work. Love to see it. How's Stargrave? Did you have to ask it? It's like Stargrave is great. I'm just not playing it because I haven't played anything for a very long time. Don't ask me why I haven't played Stargrave now, because I've actually finished all the miniatures for it. I got my crew and everything. I think it started with the fact that I usually play with an old neighbor of mine, and we've ended up in this bad rhythm of because I have my son every other week and he has his son every other week, and it's the wrong weeks. So whenever it's like a weekend and I'm like, do you want to play a game? And he's like, no, I'm hanging out with my son, and vice versa. But we're working on trying to sort that out, because then we can play some Stargrave, which would be great. I do intend to try and finish all the buildings I've got, the MDF buildings from Brutal Cities. I need to put that on the priority list, and because then I have lots of cool terrain as well for Stargrave. Ben Ives says I say Ives better than most English people. I must have been practicing. Ryan says it's also a great video. Are you referring to the latest one? I appreciate it. It did. I mean, there was a lot of effort put into that one. I've been working on this week. I've been working on the next video. Sorry, I just need to drink tea. And in the next video, which will be released probably early next week, I've been painting some Terminators. You can't really see it from there because it's dark, and even if I make it bright, you won't see it because it's small, because it's a miniature. They do that to you. And it's been a really sort of simple video compared to the scale modeling one, which honestly is, it's a nice break, not having to sort of do Ben Hur scale production every time. It's a lot of fun. I wonder if I got a picture. I really enjoyed painting these. Let's see if I can I do this? No? Can I do that? Yes. If I press still, you'll see a picture, right? And so that's just the backside, because I'm not going to show you the front, and I'm not going to show you all of them. But this is a picture of this guy, just from the back. It's the same fellow, actually. And I had a lot of fun painting them, and I painted 5 of them in an evening, which was a bit of a challenge. But I kind of did it, sort of cheated a bit, but let's not say that loud. Yeah, but it was just nice to make a bit of a simpler video. It's going to be more of a sort of tutorial-ish, but I actually go through the steps of what I'm doing. I don't think I've done that for quite a few videos now. I just talk about random things, and then you just see all the stuff happening. But I thought this red metallic, which is it was a patron who painted some stuff with using this technique, and I thought, that's cool. I need to try it, and it just worked out marvelously. So I hope you're going to like it. It'll be out early next week, something like that. I don't know what's happened to my hair. You should pay attention to the introduction of the next video as well, because something really weird happened to my hair, and it looks really funny, and I didn't change it because I thought maybe people will laugh at me, and that's good, because we all need to laugh. Lemonhead209 says, Midwinter wised me up to you. Does that mean a guy recommended me to you? Did he do that recently? Or was it like in an old video or something? Jamie says, I've been extremely busy, but finally cleared my plate enough for some downtime, sticking corrugated cardboard to MDF building roofs, so I'm glad for some live stream company. See, that's, I need some tips and tricks. I'd like to, I mean, not tons of it, but in places I might want to add embellishments to my MDF terrain. So I'd like to have, like, I don't know, ladders, hatches, maybe ventilation things. I don't know, that I could 3D print. That are basically flat on one side, and you just stick it on your building, and you get a little bit of an embellishment. Could be fantasy, could be future. I mean, it's essentially. Sorry, I'll get a house. Oh, if I can get up. It was actually my birthday last week. I'm 41 now, so that means I have a trouble, getting up in the mornings, and also while streaming. Okay, sorry. This is. Sorry about that. That would have been loud. Seeing as the microphone's there and the thingy. Oh, it's a good thing about MDF. You don't really have to. So here's a house, and it's not. There's also bricks in it. Oh, and the roof comes off. There we are. So, it could be nice with. I've already done some structures on some of these buildings. I like this as a brick structure that I printed out on my FDM printer, but there could be, little vent things or whatever that could look like a doorway or doors or hatches. I don't know, stuff that I could glue on there. If anyone has any recommendations where I could find that, like some nice bundles with 3D printable house decorations, that would be great. Please just write it in the chat, or if you're watching this stream after it happened, then in the comment section would be lovely. Hello, Brian. See, I'm behind in the chat a little bit here. I'm sorry, it always happens. But hello, Brian. I hope you're well. Janne says he's Finnish but Swedish too, which is confusing. Which one are you? Could you decide? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be funny. But greetings. Williams John, how are you doing? I saw an old ad to visit Games Workshop store and play 40K. Why today nobody makes TV ads for war games? I think it would be interesting. I don't know. Do people watch TV anymore? I don't. And I guess where would they advertise? I think, I don't know now, but at least TV ads used to be pretty much the most expensive ad you can buy, because a lot of people used to watch TV, and I guess some still watch TV. A lot of people watch TV, and so TV ads are very expensive. I'd reckon that miniature companies figure that they get more money's worth out of, giving money to people like me who'll say, wow, have you seen this marvelous miniature? Or just doing ads on YouTube or whatever. But does Games Workshop even do ads? Apart from for their games, like computer games? But for Warhammer, do they even do ads? I don't know. Hello, John Ashley Smith. How are you doing? I think I might need my glasses on. Oh, that's better. There you are, John Ashley Smith. Painting some Infinity models, though I do not play the game. Now, the models are great. This wasn't actually very helpful. I painted some Infinity miniatures for my Stargrave crew, metal ones. They're really tiny, and the details are really tiny, and I really enjoy the look of them, but painting them was a bit of a fiddle. Hello, Bat from Yorkshire. How you doing? Chris says, I quite enjoyed your latest video. Reminded me of my childhood aspirations of the scale mini hobby that was never realized. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have the same thing. I'm just realizing it. That was not intended as something mean. But I'm just smudging it out. What if I've got? I think I've got one of them proper. See, this one's probably clean. That's better. I mean, I've got the same thing. There's an allure towards scale modeling because I thought it was cool when I was a kid. I didn't really get into it at all. I got into Warhammer later on, but I've always, walked into the scale model stores that nowadays don't exist because internet killed them. I should probably blame people like me. And I just go into the stores and drool at the very cool tanks that were painted beyond. I'm just like, is this real? Have they just shrunk the world into, a diorama? That's how I felt as a kid. So it's great to play around with now that I can do videos on it and put it on YouTube. Janne says, start with Majestic 13. You want me to start talking about it? You mean, no, we need to, this stream goes on for 2 hours. We need to extend things. Otherwise, I'll just be sitting there after an hour and no one has any questions to ask, and I'll just be drilling holes in my MDF. Mark says, given what a smash hit your crossover video are you considering a vampires versus biplanes episode? It's actually a pretty good idea, Mark. Mark does scale models, and he's been working on the wiring on a biplane for it's been testing his patience, is how I understand it, judging from various comments on Discord that you can get access to if you become a patron. Please become a patron and support my work with videos. Also, please like this live stream, and if you're feeling generous, you can always super comment, which will give me some money for beer later on. Hello, Go For It Painting. Adrian Gidding says, using metallic paint. We're back here because I'm slow and everything. Using metallic paint, Alex. What is this heresy? I know, but it actually turned out I can't say I dislike it. I actually kind of rather like it, ish. I probably wouldn't use it on my Stormcast army, but maybe on other things. I don't know. You'll have to watch the video and judge for yourself. Jamie says, I can't help but hear the pew pew sound effect from the Tabletop Minions opening credits when I see those guys. They look great. Do you mean these? They look like, or what? Pew pew. They're very, yeah. These Terminators are really cool. I think this is actually painted for my son because he wanted like cool robot, kind of like people with big guns and lots of armor. And we agreed upon the fact that these Terminators were just that. And the fact that I already had them because I bought the Horus Heresy box, so we didn't have to go out and buy new miniatures. But it's really cool Terminators. Caffeinated Miniatures. How are you doing? I haven't seen you around for a while. Popping in to say hi. I've got you on the background while I work on a super secret project. Well, super secret projects are always super secret. I wish you luck, but it's good to see you. Kalle Svensson, been working on some Stormcast and your army has really inspired me. Though yours are much better painted. Well, thank you. I'm trying to get excited about finishing off my new Stormcast army. I mean, see, here's one of them. It needs paint on it. It also needs a head. Yeah, I just want to finish it because I feel like I would very much like to place some Age of Sigmar, and I'm not sure. I think maybe I have about 12 miniatures left to paint. I'm not quite sure. No, there's another 2 that aren't finished, and some basing and stuff. But I should just finish it so I can play games, which I would really like to do. I've got a bunch. I don't know. Can you see them back there? No, you can't. There's a microphone in the way. I've got 10 of these, which are all individually kit bashed. I need to do a video on. They're samurai gladiators. That makes sense, right? And they're supposed to be something called protectors, which is paladins, which are these tank-sized. I mean, just look at the size. This is a Terminator. This is like epically large power armor, layers and layers upon, it's huge. And there's a Stormcast. He's actually larger. Anyway, but yeah, I've got 10 of these. That needs some kind of a paint job that I can't decide on if I'm just going to sit and do something generic for all 10 of them or not. I have some ideas, but I'm not sure. But I need to finish them. And then there's this fella. He's called Bastian Carthalos. For some reason, I always think of a guy called Karl Bartos, who is a former member of Kraftwerk. But yeah, there's him. And then there's the lady with the wings, which is another hero that needs to get painted. And I think that's it. Yeah, I should do that. That in the MDF. I just want to really do it. I just need, if you've got one of them time expanding machines, you enter it and all of a sudden there's just another couple of weeks just show up that are not booked with anything else, and you get paid regardless, and so you can just do whatever you want for a couple of weeks. And could I borrow it, please, so I get some extra time to paint things. Cyborg Sloth, how are you doing? Saying happy birthday. Thank you very much. He's also saying Shabashena hello. I didn't actually realize. Did I not realize that you're Swedish? I don't think I realized that you're Swedish, or I'm just being terribly forgetful. In that case, I apologize. But hey. Adrian says, well, that woke me up. I guess that was dropping the... It feels like I'm living in the past reading this chat. And I'm not going to blame the chat. I'm just blaming the fact that I'm trying to talk. And when I talk, time stands still. Soviet Bear, I'm at work conference all next week. It will be the first use of my portable lamp and my travel hobby boxes. Now we're talking. You did actually bring it. That's awesome. And then can you like sneak in some of your workmates and convert them into heretical miniature painters? Janne says, really nice buildings. Yes, they're very nice. They're all from that, and I've got several more. I won't try and get them out because then I'll just drop them on the microphone again. They're all from brutal cities, which you can check out. You can just, I can write it down in the description when this microphone Is that annoying? In the comments description when the stream's over, I'll put a link to Brutal Cities links. It's great stuff, made by a guy called Ryan in Australia. He's also just started to do epic terrain, like the really tiny stuff and it looks great. And I guess if you're into epic, playing with the really small miniatures, then buying really tiny bits of MDF is actually doable, considering the shipping costs from Australia. I know Ryan has a bit of issues with that, and I hope he works something out. This is awfully bright. Can I turn it down a little bit? Thank you. I'm trying to find my way through the chat. Adrian says, I thought most of hobby YouTube was ads for Games Workshop. Yeah, it's just that they don't pay for it. I don't know, actually. Maybe nowadays they pay creators to make videos on their stuff. I have no idea how it works. I've never been... Am I a bit dark now? Darn it. Okay. I've never ever had any contact with Games Workshop, and they've never sent me anything or asked me how my day's been, or if I'd like to, I don't know, just if I'd like their stuff. They've never asked me. Feels a bit sad, doesn't it? Yeah, no. And so I don't know how they run their business with YouTubers. I just thought they just send things out for free ahead of time, and people just paint it because they want views because they have early access. Maybe nowadays they've started to pay creators to make the content. I've got no idea. Everyone else does. I don't know about Games Workshop. Jamie May says, I remember seeing massive Games Workshop adverts on the side of trams in Nottingham. Some Stormcast dudes. Can't remember if it was for Warhammer World or Games Workshop stuff in general. Yeah, I mean, it would definitely, I guess, work in Nottingham. In Stockholm, it would be like, advertising solar panels in winter in Svalbard. It would be a waste of money, basically. John Ashley Smith is enjoying the summer heat and humidity, the only time of year I don't need to dress in layers. Yeah. The world is in places very hot at the moment. Sweden has been... Like last week, I was in Denmark, and it pretty much rained at least half of the time. And then this week here in Sweden, it's like been raining half of the time as well. So, and been very cool. Whereas my son is at the moment in Spain, visiting his granddad. And I believe it's like almost constant 36 or 37 or something degrees Celsius. Which is rather warm. Soviet Bear says, I was reading old Dragon magazines on the Internet Archive last week and found the original review of Warhammer 40k in 1989. Old miniature adverts and reviews are great. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, there would have been a lot more ads. And I mean, I've got this, which is... I very rarely buy this. It's sort of if I go on some train journey sometimes, but it's a bit expensive over here. And I mean, in stuff like that, they've got ads. It's like the Damned from Mini Wargaming, and War Games Atlantic, and all these other lots of. It's kind of why I like it, because it's so mixed. It's like, what's this? It's like airplanes, and then there's like tribal something, and then there's Peter Pig miniatures, the high point of medieval warfare, War of the Roses miniatures. You've got Norfolk and Somerset and Richard III and Somerset II. I don't know if that's the second or if there's just two versions of it, one with the head off and one without the head off. And I kind of enjoyed looking at ads in these because there are things that I would probably never have seen, honestly, otherwise, like this. Grippingbeast.com. Dark Dwarves, Dverger, which is rather kind of Swedish. We see dvärgar. Gripping Beasts are proud to announce that we will now be manufacturing and distributing the awesome Ragnarok miniatures Norse fantasy range by Colin Patton. First up, emerging from long-thought abandoned tunnels under the old mountains, are Dverger, the Dark Dwarves. Use them as Saga Age of Magic Masters of the Under-Earth Warband. Okay, I won't, but I kind of like them. Look at that guy. He's got a little loincloth, but kind of funny. I love the paint jobs. They've got like skulls painted on the helmets and stuff. It's really nice miniatures. I like the look of them, and I would never have seen anything if I wouldn't have bought this funny magazine. That also we've got pulp figures. We've got crushable crush miniatures. Which is like Vietnam War, and this looks like colonial stuff. The Doomed from Osprey Games, soon to be in a store near you, which looks like a rather cool game, actually. Can talk more about that in a bit. But yeah, sorry, I got carried away about ads. I mean, once upon a time in these kind of magazines and other magazines, then Games Workshop would have done ads as well. I just don't think they need anymore. I kind of forgot I was live there for a moment. I was just excited about the ads. I like to paint minis. What's your thought on Army Painter speed paints? I have no thoughts because I've actually never used them. I don't use speed paints or contrast paints an awful amount. I've started to try and use them more and more, but I kind of like need to learn how to use them. And so when I use them, I've just been using Games Workshop's contrast paints because I've been using their black contrast paint a lot, and that's pretty much about it. And then sometimes I buy a few of them, and some I like and some I don't. I use quite a lot of contrast paints on this, but I mean, so personally, I don't know anything about the speed paints. I'm sorry. I don't really see how there would be anything wrong with them. Lots of people seem to like them. Rusty Beetle, how are you doing? How far along did you get assembling your Brutal Cities kits? Do you use them for games or dioramas? I was kind of talking about that a little bit. I think they're all assembled. Pretty much. Ryan sent me a fresh batch, a little while back of like ruined buildings. I think I've got a few of them left to assemble. I've also got walls that I haven't assembled. I can grab the walls. They're very simple. He actually initially did just like special off walls for me because I kind of wanted walls, and then I think he started to sell them after that, which is rather cool. These I haven't put together, but I should. But I think most of it is assembled. Oh, and I've got a lot of these small. These are like the simplest. These are his simplest builds. It's basically a cube, and then you can have tons of them, and you can just it's like habitat thingies, which is and so like this is what I was talking about. Like for this one, for example, I've this was actually meant to be solid, but I cut it out and I made an actual window which has some mesh that I've sort of ruined a little bit. And I mean, on this, it would be nice to be able to like have a hatch or something 3-dimensional sticking out, just to give it a little bit more life, because this is some very simple housing design, which is great to put on the table because it's like freight containers, only it's in theory housing, and with paint on, it'll look great anyway. But just a few, when I've got a 3D printer, it'd be fun to just put some kind of embellishments on. But yeah, I need to answer your question, Rusty Beetle. None of it is painted. It's something I really would like to do this summer, because I mean, I'd probably be rattle painting most of it, rattle can painting it, which needs to be done outdoors. But I've had plans when I started the whole project. That's why one of the reasons why it's taken so long is because I just had to realize I can't do exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to sort of spend a lot of the time on each build. So like there's one building I wanted to do like a glass house on top, like as if it were a garden, with a what do you call it when you got plants inside a glass building, whatever. One I wanted to sort of convert into a church and do the whole inside like a church with rows of aisles of benches and like an altar, and so on and so forth. Now I realize I just actually have to just assemble it and then paint it rather efficiently and then be done. And if I want to start embellishing things, I can do it afterwards. I can just add things as I go if I feel like it. But now it's just not being used, which is worse than having to kill the darling of doing it, turning it into a special project. Brian V says, thank you for the tabletop black paint video. I think I may use it for my Dark Angels. Yeah, I'm actually thinking of revisiting that myself, maybe for the miniatures I showed before, because I think that would be suiting. Alison says, I'm currently sitting under the glory of my new CRI 95 5K hobby light bulbs. And yes, I did check them with instrumentation from work, because I'm a nerd like that. You have that kind of stuff at work. Cool. Are you blinded? Are they like very bright, or is it all right? Okay, now where am I? The chat is jumping about. I apologize for being way behind, but that's just if you're used to live streams like this where people just sit and talk forever on YouTube, then usually this happens. It's got nothing to do with the chat itself. It's just, if I would just answer all your questions really quickly, then we'd be done, which wouldn't be fun. Ryan Cleven says, your storytelling is well above your YouTube peers. Please consider making an Alex verse that runs story threads across your dioramas. I would love to see more in the universe from your last video. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of fun making that kind of videos. I've also at some point, when I started making these videos for YouTube, they're essentially about my hobby, and my hobby is painting miniatures and hopefully sometimes playing games. And so sometimes I feel like just doing a random diorama like that one, and sometimes I'm like, well, I also need to paint miniatures for my armies, for other games and things like that. I realized that quite a lot of things on YouTube are rather sort of specific. It's like, if I would just stick to making dioramas like that and create my own universe and kind of like Boyle Hobby Town, if you watch that channel, he's got his universe of which is a sort of diesel / steampunk Wild West thing, and he does other things as well, but he always comes back to his little universe of the Wild West, but with like bit of cyberpunk vibes to it. And people really like that because you can't really get it from someone else. You can just get it from that person, and it's pretty efficient in terms of YouTube because you create a brand and stuff like that. But I'm too well. First of all, I'd probably get too bored just doing the same thing over and over again. But the channel is more supposed to be a mirror of my hobby, even though the productions are sometimes a bit exaggerated and the scripts are very sort of not always super personal. It's still just I just did that diorama because I felt like doing the diorama and I really liked the Dreadnought, and so I spent my hobby time doing that. And there's not really much more of a plan than having that as the bottom line. Templar says, "Is it your birthday? Happy birthday, my Bongo brother." I didn't know. But Bongo says yes. It was my birthday last week, I think, or was it this? Wait, Monday this week. I worked a lot. It feels like this week has been 2 weeks, but Monday was my birthday. So thank you. Cyborg Sloth says, "I may have mentioned it, but I also don't expect you to remember." Which was the fact that you're Swedish. Cyborg Sloth also says, "I've recently finished my Cursed City box. It's a fair bit of miniatures in that box, isn't it? Good work. It's all the skeletons and stuff like that." Alison says, "Time expanding machine sounds like a teacher's schedule." They say the 3 best reasons to teach are June, July, and August, which would be your summer holiday. Yes. On the other hand, kids and parents, the other months. Yeah. Time expanding machine. It'd be a thing, wouldn't it? Isn't that, all this talk about AI and whatever? Can't we just get AI to work on that for us? Kalle Svensson says, "Love hearing you might have some conversions to show off then." Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the Stormcast, yeah. There's the samurai, samurai gladiators. This one's going to be. I actually want to. This was Karl Bartos, no, Bastian Kartalos. He's going to be bog standard. I'm not going to do anything to Bastian. I should fill that gap up with some kind of a goo, I think, because that doesn't look great. I actually think I might try and just paint him bog standard as well, just as a fun thing. But then the other hero, she's going to be. I can't remember her name. She's got wings and a spear and a sword and something. She's going to definitely be kit bashed. I was going to say castrated. I don't know why. That would be mean. Kit bashed is better. I guess it's about cutting the bits off. That got me thinking. Yeah, I should talk about something else now. John Ashley Smith says, "I put together a travel hobby kit for a trip up north. My eyes read to North Korea, but not that, another north. A couple of weeks back to try painting outdoors in natural light. Never got around to it, sadly. Uh, finishing, relaxing, floating in the lake. But I hope you get to it next time. Painting in natural light can be great if there's enough of it. That's usually just the issue. Is there's never enough of it. Jamie says, shipping costs are what stop me ordering Brutal Cities, which is a shame. There's a 6mm scale terrain maker called Ilada Studios, which makes some great stuff in matboard. Yeah, I know I've talked to Brian about the shipping things, and I know that it's something that he's constantly trying to figure out how he could, sort that out. There's obviously different ways. He knows all the ways. He's just trying to figure out which one is, is going to work best for him. At the same time, I think he's, doing all right and selling a fair bit of terrain. So it's not, it's always scary if you do something that actually means that you need to expand your business, like hire another person or something like that. It becomes a major cost, and you just, it can be scary steps to take. Janne says, I'd love to see you pick a group for Space Station Zero from Starling Badges. It's sad that I can't find interesting miniatures here in Sweden. Feels like I'm forced to invest in a 3D printer. I mean, I've got my Stargrave crew, which is probably, if I play Space Station Zero, I'd probably use the Stargrave crew I've already got. I don't know if you've seen the video of where I painted them. I don't know about, finding interesting miniatures. I guess, I guess maybe not. I guess it depends. I've never really had a problem of not being able to find miniatures. Honestly, it's more like I feel the other way around, that I've just got too many miniatures. But maybe you have very particular taste. Mikey R looks like I'm late to the shop. Well, not really. You've got more than an hour to go. John Ashley Smith says, technically White Dwarf magazine is a big, slick, glossy advertisement. Indeed. But like in Sweden, you can't really buy White Dwarf magazine unless you go into a game store. And, like, I just know of like 3 game stores in Stockholm, whereas one of them is the Warhammer store. There's no, you don't see White Dwarf in just your regular newspaper shop place. So there we are. Okay. Janne says dwarfs are cool, period. Sure. Lord Biscuit the Tossable. How are you doing? I remember the old style mags, at least the few I glanced at. Those high elves and orcs are iconic to me somehow, despite having played no games of fantasy. Yeah, the high elves and the orcs. I know I don't know what happened to my old white dwarves. Like I used to hang out a lot with a friend back then that I don't know nothing about him now. Unfortunately, we haven't met for, since we were kids. And like I used to paint a lot with him, and we used to go into stores and buy the miniatures, and we used to share things, so we'd I think we bought like Space Hulk or something like that, and we'd split it and share it, and we'd also like split White Dwarf because we wanted to see the magazine and all the painted miniatures, but we just split the money, and then we could just both look at it during the weekends when we were hanging out. And I think maybe the White Dwarves were at his house, I think, and so I haven't got any White Dwarves from back then. Katie Graham, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Can't stay, but wanted to pop in and say hi. and leave a like. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. By the way, Lord Biscuit the Tossable, I might be mixing things up here, but I've got a question. Someone told. Did you dig up one of Bobby Finger's things? Is that you, or am I? Am I confused? Just curious. Kilo says, same here, popping in and leaving a like. Be well, all. Well, you be well. Thank you. Novero, my eyesight today is, I've been editing images half of the day. It's like things are blurry. Novgorod, how are you? Good evening. Greetings from the Netherlands. Well, greetings from Stockholm. And Jan Andersson, how are you doing? And Lockmoy, how are you? How are things? Glad I was able to catch a hobby hangout. While I don't always like subversion of expectations, your Dreadnought to the alternate World War II robot was very cool. Well, thank you. I had a lot of fun with that. And I was actually like pleasantly surprised of, I mean, I spent time on it, but it wasn't, extreme. The video took a lot of time to make because there was also the thing with Oscar, and I did lots of like flashy, so it took time. The paint job and doing the diorama, it wasn't extreme. I spent way more time on the tank where I put the goblins in, for example, and stuff like that. But I kind of feel like I just made the right choices when it came to colors, and everything came together really nicely. I could easily have spent more than twice the amount of time on it working on details and just lifting everything more, but I just felt like, no, it's a nice little diorama. I'll just leave it like this, and I'm just glad that people like it. Alison says the lights are 60-watt equivalent. Very nice, it turns out. The physics, light, and optics lab I have is quite a bit more advanced than it needs to be. Oh, you mean where you got the CRI meter and stuff, where you can... It's good to know you got one. Kratokian says, it took me a while to watch the World War II robot. I thought it was a real scale model with guys inside it and got too jealous. Yeah, no, it was misuse of Warhammer property. Black Hose says, my favorite YouTuber, greetings from Bulgaria. Well, greetings to you too. I hope you're well. Jan Andersson says, I'm finding it hard to sit down and paint or build in the summer. Too light all around, so the coziness factor is gone. Time is spent more with my neighbors at the barbecue, comparing ales. Do you want to swap lives? Maybe? It'd be nice. I've been stuck in this bunker for, all week, painting miniatures, which has been fun. But I kind of missed the barbecue and the ale bit. Yeah, get yourself a bunker and don't have friends with beer, and you'll be fine. Andrew Cannon says, recently saw a couple of videos, Ninjon for one, mixing opaque paints into contrast paint to build highlights. Tried that with the Army Painter Speed Paint 1.0 this week, and it was pretty functional. Okay, that's good. I don't know the reason behind the mixing of opaque paints and contrast paints, but I'm sure it's great. I just ended up down at the bottom here with the chat jumped. And I just wanted to answer Lord Biscuit the Tossable, which is not entirely sure what you mean with the Bobby, about Bobby. Nothing immediately comes to mind. Okay, I've probably mixed things up. Maybe it was someone else. There was like someone that I recognized. There's a guy who makes videos called Bobby Fingers, um, which he makes really cool videos and builds things, and then by the end he buries them. And it just flashed by something, you know, a nickname of someone on YouTube because you get the GPS coordinates if you pay attention through the video, and you can go to wherever he's buried the thing and dig it up. And, you know, it's like a thing. And for some reason I thought it was you, but maybe it was someone else. Hello, Bill making stuff. Yo, how y'all doing? You doing fine? Bill making stuff was in New Orleans recently, so I'm just glad he's alive. You alive, Bill, or did you get? You know, you just zombie Bill now? Because I hear they make zombies in New Orleans too. Gary Jensen says, Alex, what is bog standard? I don't know. It depends on what we're talking about. This is bog standard tea, for instance. Lionhead 209 says, hello, would you ever consider painting Battletech miniatures? I don't know. If I got interested in Battletech, I'd paint Battletech miniatures, I guess. Or if the company who makes Battletech miniatures called me and said, here, we'll give you money, now paint Battletech miniatures. I mean, it happens. But I'm not into the game, and I'm, you know, I haven't even really seen much of the miniatures. I know I played BattleTech computer games as a kid. But yeah, I don't play the tabletop game, so I'm not going to get like miniatures and spend time painting them because, you know, then my Stormcast, for example, get ahead in line. Michael says, please paint some Morphidius Fallout Power Armor resin figures and make an apocalyptic diorama. Who knows? John Ashley Smith says the new Battletech miniatures are a joy to paint. I'm glad to hear it. Cyborg Sloth says you can get White Dwarf in Pressbyrån. Yes, I know you can, Cyborg Sloth, but you can't get it in that Pressbyrån or that Pressbyrån or that Pressbyrån or that Pressbyrån. The only place I've seen it is in one Pressbyrå, which is at the Central Station in Stockholm. Maybe there's, I mean, what I was just trying to say is that it's not like Elle magazine or whatever interior decoration magazines or stuff that is just in every single place where they sell magazines. White Dwarf is a lot less seen, was kind of my point. Eric Brown says, I've played Warhammer for years, but never actually bought a White Dwarf. I haven't bought a White Dwarf either for years, but once upon a time I used to buy them just because it was like that was when there was no internet and you wanted to see like all the different miniatures painted by, you know, and it was, as a kid, it was a really, really cool magazine. Now I've looked in it every now and again, and I'm like, what should I do with this information? It's like, okay, there's some new rules for some miniature that I haven't got, and then there's never been anything in a White Dwarf that has felt like something that I need. But as a kid, I thought it was very, very cool, especially just seeing all the miniatures, because that was the only way to see the miniatures, kind of. So Lord Biscuit Tossable said, I'm doing all right. Life has been busy. You're getting some holidays now then, I hope. See, now we are. I'm at the bottom of the chat. See, this is what happens when I read things too fast. Then it's like, so what are we doing now? It's dead. Okay. So Adam from Tabletop Minions sent me this Majestic 13, which is a new game from Snarling Badgers, which is Adam Loper and Vincent Venturella, which is Tabletop Minions and Vince Venturella's got a channel as well. They make games. They've made 2 games before this. One was called, I was going to say Snarling Hell, but Rain in Hell. And another one is called the Space game that was mentioned earlier. Space Station Zero, right? And this is Majestic 13, which is, I got it this week, I think. And I haven't looked at it, and I looked a little bit in it today, but not enough to actually understand much. I was hoping to get to look at pictures of the game, but it's more like a lot of stock pictures of, no offense, of houses, and like, look, there's a scientist and a computer server, and there's a Huey. See, here's a setup. Okay, but essentially, I think you're supposed to kill aliens. Basically, it's not, aliens are not nice. Aliens are here to take over the world, and you run a squad of people with guns and stuff, and then try and kill the alien before the alien kills you. I think that's about it. I might be wrong, because let's read. Majestic 13 is a miniature agnostic tabletop wargame where you command an elite team of alien hunters in a secret war to protect Earth. Designed to play solo, co-op, or as an adversarial skirmish game, Majestic 13 is created by Adam Loper and Vincent Venturella for 1 to 2 players. I guess what's kind of fun, because I can't say anything about the game because I haven't played the game. I mean, I know they know how to make games, and they can make fun rules and fun settings. For me, I'm always about the setting. It's like I need to be interested in a setting, kind of like I like Age of Sigmar, because I like fantasy games more than I like Warhammer 40,000. And this is actually a rather cool setting, because it could be now. There's not all that many games around that are in our sphere of fantasy or future sci-fi style games that can be contemporary. Like, that's when you end up with World War I or II or whatever, and so that's it's rather fun. You can paint some aliens, and then you can have like regular military people if you want, or whatever your special forces team looks like. It's totally up to you. There's no miniatures. It's a so-called miniature agnostic game, where you just paint whatever you want or use whatever you want, and go kill some aliens. Does anyone have any questions about the book while I've got it in my hands? Please ask. I'm just seeing text. It might look like I'm actually paying attention, but it's like it's just words, because my brain is not in a place where it can, get these things in by looking. I love this though. I saw this before. Foobar, yeah, which they've dubbed fouled up beyond all recognition. It's supposed to be fucked up beyond all recognition, which is from what film is that? Foobar. The End. How you doing? What up? Soviet Bear says, I subscribe to White Dwarf just to have the novelty of getting a magazine in the mail every month. I've actually considered doing that with this war game illustrated. I don't know if it would be cheaper then, because it kind of pisses me off. Sorry, pardon my French. It says here, this is issue 427, July 2023, £5.99. Only I paid 169 Swedish krona, which is not the exchange rate. Um, it could be, I don't know. So what's £6? That would worst be like 80 krona, which So this is twice the price than what it should have been. Because they test out games, any kind of games. Someone talked about more Phidias Fallout things. Here's some Phidias, because it always looks kind of like it's only just the historical things, but it's not. Here's assembling some Brotherhood of Steel heavy armor, and then you get historical thingies as well. It's just anything tabletop gamey, only no Warhammer really, which I don't mind. This was fun. Salute painting competition winners. Pictures of all the winners in Salute painting competition, which is fun as well. Just to see. Everything doesn't have to be golden dragon, golden demon. Here's someone building a table. I don't know. I just kind of like this magazine. And so I have been thinking about maybe getting myself, a subscription. They also send out bribes. This came in the packaging. It's a boat. They write about this game in there. Get your motor running. Top quality tabletop torpedo boats. It's a teeny little boat with torpedoes, because it's a torpedo boat. Well, I don't know what I will use this for, but now I've got one, and it was free with the magazine. It wasn't really free because I paid expensively for it, but Ramirez, how are you doing? I've been on the road, but I'm here listening. God bless you and your son. Well, thank you. And James Jermico, how are you doing? And Jeremy, where have you been? Jeremy, Black Magic Craft. I've been missing you in my life. I hope your Kickstarter is that should be rolling out soon, shouldn't it? Or am I imagining things? Should be about time, right? Luco Mogni says, hello, Alex. I love your videos. I really enjoyed the one about orc skin. Bright orc skin is definitely the best. I'm glad you liked it. That was a fun video. See, that's kind of what I'd like to do with all of those 10 Stormcast over there, is be able to give them the same amount of love as I gave those orcs. I just don't know if I'll get them done if I decide to do that. It's one of those things where if you build up a mental idea of like, this is how I really would like to, this project is going to be awesomely painted, and then I just don't start painting it because I'm like, well, I don't have time to paint awesomely right now. I'll paint this stuff over here instead. It's just a one miniature or something I don't have to, do as well with this higher quality or whatever. So sometimes I'm a bit scared of committing to like an awesome paint job, because then I might just not do it. but I'm also feeling kind of bad of not giving my 10 kit bashed Stormcast samurai gladiators awesome paint jobs. So I don't really know what to do. John Ashley Smith says, I'm jealous. I want a copy of the latest Snarling Badger game. I love the indie miniatures agnostic games because they allow such wide options for miniatures. I just love the fact that they make them. Is lovable, and just spreading the word that there are a lot more games out there than the ones made by Games Workshop. There's nothing wrong with the Games Workshop ones, and they've got tons of really cool miniatures. But there's also other games, and it can be exciting just to, try them. And you can go to like Wargames Walter Wargames Vault, and like buy a PDF for not very much money, and you got a new game to play, and that's pretty cool. Majestic 13. Joe says, did they autograph the book? No, they're way too efficient for that kind of stuff. They're like machines. This is probably, it doesn't go through them. They don't print like 6,000 books and then keep them in a cupboard in the basement. That kind of really annoys the spouse, because that was the cupboard that originally held the vacuum cleaner, but now there's just boxes of books. That doesn't really happen. It's print on demand. So what Adam has done is he's just paid for the demand place to print this for me and give him my address, and then it's printed somewhere, probably doesn't even say, and is then shipped to me. So it's not being in the hands of the creators and then sent to me. Jeremy says, that's Black Magic Craft, Jeremy. Everything is in production. Last month has been busy with all that. Just got back from a 2-week holiday in Germany. Really? You should have told me, Jeremy. What the hell are you doing in Germany? That's really far away from Canada. I hope you're not in the middle of like a fire and stuff as well. But you got like family in Germany, or was just like random, craving for beer and sausages? But I'm glad to hear the game is in production. I can't wait for it to get, out into the hands of people. Ramirez, thank you very much for the donation. I had a lot of fun this week playing with Mod Podge, mixing contrast paints for fire and smoke effects. I'd love to see what you would do with them. Yeah, that sounds cool. You'll have to show me, Ramirez. You show yours and I'll show you mine, especially when you give me money. Thanks for the donation, man. Okay, Jeremy's your wife is from Germany. Cool. Went to visit her family. That sounds really nice. I haven't had any holidays yet. Hopefully after next week I get to have some holidays. It's been full on. See, my hair's doing things. But cool that you went to Germany. I'm glad you enriched Europe there for a little bit. The end says the video Fubar was Saving Private Ryan, and it might have been. I can't remember. Lord Biscuit the Tospel says, I know Hardcore Miniatures did have a series of jungle fighters, which are basically just famous actors and actresses. You mean as a warband for Majestic 13? I mean, that's that kind of where you can have fun with these kind of things if you want to do your like on Arnold in Predator, full like jungle gear. He can be out there killing aliens, predators. If you want to play that game, you can do it. It's fun with when you get to pick your own miniatures. Or someone mentioned, like Men in Black. You could do Men in Black or whatever. Lord Biscuit says, how does the skirmish game work on a versus basis? I don't know. Because, as I thought, it was like predominantly like solo or co-op. So you have like the alien and you're supposed to kill the alien. If it's adversarial, I don't know how you do that. Is it like, is there two of you and an alien, or is someone the alien and you're the, I don't know. And it's a thick book. So I wish I could answer that. Maybe there's you can always ask Adam or Vince. Playing the game, teams, stats, missions, what you need to play, missions, co-op games, skirmish games, special missions. I don't know. Co-op games, skirmish games. Is that skirmish games? Maybe 60. If you wish to pit your team against a friend's team, you may certainly do so when playing Majestic 13. This type of engagement would be considered a training exercise used to keep the members of Majestic 13 sharp. This type of game is known as a skirmish exercise by the forces of Majestic 13. In a skirmish game, you will need two teams which play against each other. You will generate a mission and play through that mission as per the normal process for mission determination, page 65, with the following changes. Skip step 3, enemy generation. You do not generate an alien enemy when playing a skirmish game. I think I managed to actually answer your question. So essentially, if you play adversarially, you're not playing against an alien. You're pitting two teams against each other. Whereas if you play solo or co-op, then you kill aliens, and the aliens are sort of AI controlled. Gary Jensen says, I've been thinking of a game for our kids, simple fairy models that's played outside. This way, the natural world becomes the terrain. Are you making one up on your own? Is that what you're saying, Gary? That you're sort of creating your own game? John Ashley Smith says, it seems there are tables to roll on for the alien action reactions. The rules set in the dice controls the aliens. Yeah, exactly. They're sort of, you roll dice for whatever alien shows up, or if there are more aliens shows up, I don't know. I'm just guessing. And then, what the alien's going to do. Is it going to like charge the closest, fire, shoot? I don't know. I could look that up as well, but yeah, I won't, because it's probably more of a sort of standard AI run by certain things that you just roll a dice and then do what the book says. Janne says, modern Spec Ops should be cool for Majestic 13, but what I find isn't cool is just big boobs. Is that because we were talking about Arnold, because he's got pretty boobed. But sorry. Oh, I kind of my mind sometimes. Awful sized silly guns. Yeah. More realistic, non-cool minis should be nice. Talking with the boobs, I saw in my mind there was the vision was Baywatch, and there was so your Majestic 13 is David Hasselhoff, and you've got Pamela Anderson, and it's on a beach, and there's a alien coming out of the ocean. That's what my mind did when you mentioned the word boobs. Please don't hate me. Cody Pinard says, "Hello, Alex. Enjoy your videos. I'm requesting a diorama of your neighbor seeing you through the window painting, please. I think that wouldn't be creepy in any way." Yeah, there's an old story of that. The neighbor that I play games with, he actually saw me painting through my kitchen window. Like, he was walking in the street, and he saw me through the window painting, and so the next time he saw me, he was like, "I know what you're up to. Do you like to play games?" Mark from Montana says, "I still have to get my Eve print framed, but it will happen and grace my hobby room soon." Yes. For those of you that don't have an Eve print, there's plenty more Eve prints to buy. They're on my website, 52miniatures.com, I believe. Is it? I think it is. I don't know if I've ever referred to it before, so I get confused. But you can buy a lovely print. She's back there, Eve, but you can't really see her because she's dark. But it's a great print, and all the information is on the website. I actually sold a couple this week, but there's more than hundreds and hundreds left in the limited edition. I think I've sold about 70 prints, which is great. But I still haven't. I don't know if I broke even yet. Maybe. I should have broke even, but I'm not really making. The point was like trying to sell art to make a little bit of money. That obviously, because just making money is good because you need to eat and pay rent, but also just make some money so that I can hire, more artists to make more art and just keep it spinning. But that requires, people buying. Yeah. It's a start. Jeremy says, holidays, 4 cities in 2 weeks, and lots of busy family meetings. I love that you say meetings. You probably meant like dinners or get-togethers, but I definitely see what you mean, and I definitely know the feeling. Even you meeting up with family would probably be even more scarce than when I go to like England and meet up with family. But there's always someone to meet and do things with. Essentially, there's not much just laying around on a couch, scratching your belly, drinking a beer, watching your kids fight. Adrian says, I must get on with printing and painting my Idols minis. That's in referral to Jeremy. Idols of Torment is the game. The last update with the print proofs looked great. I printed a ton of the Lost, at least. I'm not mixing things up, am I? It's the Lost. There's a video on it. There's a face that Veronica built, and I painted. That's made out of some of the miniatures for the game. I can't remember what the video is called. Probably Idols of Torment something. Ramirez says, I'll put it up on Discord. That was the thing mixed with the thing that made the thing. Yes. Please do. Wait, here's James says, have you seen the XCOM tabletop game based on the PC strategy game about small military units against an alien invasion? No. I haven't. The end says, played my first game of Space Hulk this week. I was the John Steelers and had a blast. Cool. Is that like the old original Space Hulk? Because has there been new ones? Hasn't there? I'm not. I can't remember the story. I just know that I have Space Hulk. I've got Space Hulk Terminator. Like here and there, I've got some of the plastic Terminators that are from the game, the original game, and so I know that I think we bought it, or if it was given to us. I know I've had it, but it was just so long ago. I can't remember anything. The end says, Vince says you can either split up the squad and fight one alien, or double up and fight two aliens with two squads. Yeah, about the co-op. Yeah, I saw some. I read something in here where you can, just as the end said, if you're playing co-op, you can essentially either just double up. So you've got two players and you have a full Majestic 13 team each, and then just double up on the aliens. So instead of like maybe fighting one alien, you would be fighting two aliens, because that's doubling up. And or apparently you can just split the squad, which is a pretty cool idea. I really like the thought of, maybe I should, I don't know, I need to check this and see how sort of complex it is. I would like a story-driven, exceptionally simple co-op game. Probably preferably fantasy, but I'm not sure. Something I could play with my son, because my son is such a sore. You can't even call it a sore loser. It's like losing doesn't exist. He hasn't developed that connection between different parts of his brain that allows losing a game to be even considered a possibility. He's like, he'll stab me with this if he loses. Not really. He hasn't. I promise. It's not. This is not a cry for help. And so I'd like to play a co-op game, because then at least, well, if the alien potentially kills us, then he can always blame me, or something like that. But I probably would like it to be fantasy, and probably like dead simple. Because he's going to be 8, and we haven't played any. It's like we don't play any games really. It would be fun. Jana says, signing off. Love your channel. Well, thank you, Yanni. You have a good evening. Jeremy says, some full-page photos of your piece made it into the Idols book. That's very cool. I'm really glad to hear that, Jeremy. Thank you. It is a cool piece. I mean, I kind of somehow want to get that piece to you, but it would just, any kind of shipping, and it would just explode, but it just feels like a shame that you haven't got it hanging on your wall, kind of. James Jermenko says, I have a Mandalay effect memory of remake of Space Hulk. I have the same. Like they did a reissue not epically long ago. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I also, there's something like, wasn't there a reissue? I don't know. James Jeremico says, remember how small the original Terminators were? Yeah, I think I have one. I need to check. Whoops. You'll have to excuse me while I leave frame. I thought I saw one the other day. You probably can't hear me, but I'm talking. No, I can't see it. I thought I saw it. I thought my son found it. Maybe he's stolen it. Yeah, it's been around, but it's definitely small. It's smaller than these, a little bit smaller than these, but these are like the Horus Heresy Terminators are actually 28 millimeter, I think, and not epically huge like 40K. But yeah, if you'd compare an original Space Hulk Terminator with the new ones, the beefed up, probably almost twice the height. Not quite, but almost. Cyborg Sloth says sloth is a difficult. It's especially with the cyborg. It's like sloth. Is your son Gustavo Fring? Yes. The pickle jar. How you doing, man? Long time no see. I hope you're well. Mordecai Toth says sword weirdos might be worth trying. It has a solo mode you can co-op with your boy. Okay, I'll write that down and I can have a look. Sword weirdos. Thanks for the tip. Mark Flanagan says, hi, hey, Mark, have I said hi? I don't know. Hi, Mark. Space Hulk is on 4th edition, 2014. Okay, cool. Andrew Cannon says, for fantasy co-op, Rangers of Shadow Deep is on the rules light side. But yeah, I know of that. I can check. I think it might be a bit too complicated. As you know, because I'm dumb with games. I always need someone to keep track of things, and my son doesn't really. We're like at Snakes and Ladders. That's kind of playing a game, So, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. Just Rangers of Shadow Deep. Shadow Beep. That's better. Rangers of Shadow Beep. John Ashley Smith says Space Hulk, same 4th edition in 2014, long overdue for a reboot. Yeah, I mean it's bound to happen, isn't it? That would be like free money for them, wouldn't it? Every other miniature gamer in the world would probably buy Space Hulk if they re-released it. Feels like it's the game that we all played as kids, kinda. Mark says, good game for the lad. They go the Steelers with some guidance and potentially throwing the game as the Marines. Good game to get kids into. Which one do you mean, Mark? The Pickle Jar says, all good here. Just finished work for summer. Does that mean you're going to make videos now? Or are you actually going to get a holiday? Oh, Mark, you meant Space Hulk. Yeah, as a kid for game for kids as well. Yeah, sure. That's very true. Steelers equals Gene Steelers. I gotcha. I was actually, I remember that now. I was in, this has nothing to do with anything. It just popped up in my head because I was in Denmark last week, where I met I wasn't there to meet a patron called Kim, but I did meet him because he lived close to where I was. And one of the things I did, I went into a game store called Faros Cigarrer, which is the name of a Tintin book, which is actually, it's like a store that sells comic books. And then they have a game store as well. And I posted it on the Instagram. They had tons of display cases with miniatures painted by tons and tons of different miniature painters, a lot of them rather famously so. There's like Roman Lapalt and stuff like that. And I believe that pretty much all of them is because they've held workshops in the game stores. And so when they hold a workshop, they paint a miniature together with other people. So it's not, I don't think they haven't bought hundreds of miniatures from these great painters, but they've held their workshops there, and then they display the miniatures. And I just kind of realized that one is, I really miss, there's like no workshops in Stockholm of that caliber, and I don't really know why. If it's just as, because sometimes with Stockholm, it's the same thing with live music, that bands don't go to Stockholm because it's just too far. It's like if you're touring in Europe, then you can do Copenhagen, or you can maybe do Gothenburg, but Stockholm is like, well, it's not worth going. It's like 3 days for one gig. I don't know if the same applies for miniature painters and workshops, but I don't know why sort of some places like Alpha Spel, which is, they're a pretty big game store, while they don't organize more workshops. Maybe it doesn't sell. I've talked about doing workshops with them, but it just turned into too complicated a thing, and it was kind of all left up to me to just have a complete workshop that they could just run. But they wanted to run something on inspiration, which is like having a workshop on how to get inspired is a little tricky, if they would have said, can you do a workshop on wet blending? I would be like, sure, we can do it tomorrow. And so it turned into too big a thing, and it just hasn't happened yet. And we'll see. But I know they've tried to organize some workshops, and it just, it hasn't filled up, even if it's, even if it's just like 7 or 8 spots. It just, no one's really shown any interest, which is a little strange. And so I was just so glad to see that in this place, which was a town called Aarhus. It wasn't even like Copenhagen. It wasn't the big city had so many workshops with all these different miniature painters. And it was just so great to see the miniatures. These were obviously not epically, this is not 300 hours of golden demon winning work. It's like stuff from workshops. But it was just, I really appreciate seeing miniatures in real life, because we see so many miniatures online. Like, don't forget, I'm a hobbyist as well. Even though I make the videos, I still, I'm still just someone who does the hobby. And seeing stuff on a screen, lit by lamps and all of this is just so different than from seeing miniatures in real life. And I was just really glad to do it. And it just struck me that there's very little of that in Stockholm. And Alpha Spel as well they have a few, things on display, but not very much. It's not it doesn't seem to be a big thing here, which is I find it strange. I would have thought that like a place like Alpha Spel could have an entire room, a museum, because they've got so many customers. But maybe most of it is online. People maybe are not going to the store. But I know they're going to the store because they play games there, but I don't know. I'm just, I was happy to see it in Denmark, and then I was a little bit saddened of not having it around me here. Like there's another game store that does only like scale models and railways things that is really close to me as well. They've got tons of display cases, tons of like all the tanks and the airplanes, and the roof is filled of paint, meter upon meter upon meter upon shelf upon shelf upon shelf of painted miniatures, i.e. scale model tanks and stuff like that. But there's like nothing like that for fantasy or sci-fi things that I know of in Stockholm. Like the Games Workshop store has some miniatures in the shop window, but it's kind of more like a dusty display. And then the miniatures in the store, which is just the ones, they paint up things for the new games, obviously. But I wish there would be a bit more of that kind of like workshop type culture, and just displaying, getting to see miniature painting in real life and not just on the internet. Would be fun if that was a bit more available here in Stockholm. Novigrad says, "Hi Alex, do you have any advice for a father of a 4-year-old to get him into painting miniatures with me in the near future, or maybe bigger miniatures?" Not really. There's obviously ways to do it, which is well, let me frame it this way. Obviously kids, it's difficult with kids because there's different type of kids, different, there's kids that only like to play soccer, for instance, that don't like to sit down. Maybe you're very energetic. So I don't know how your kid is. I know there's definitely kids out there that they're not meant to paint miniatures because they're not that type of person. And sometimes we forget that we like painting miniatures because we're probably the type of people that like to sit down and not, we're not at the gym. We're painting the miniatures. We're not doing the triathlon race. We're painting the miniatures. Well, you can obviously do both, but I'm trying to make some kind of a point that there's, different people are interested in different things, and that goes for kids as well. So you can't really force, it's like, I'd approach it in the same way as like, how would you get a friend to paint with you? Well, obviously you'd have to invite them somehow. What I've got a little setup at home that is always just set up, which is where I sometimes sit and paint at home. Nowadays, I do a lot of the painting here in the studio, but I do some painting and some kit bashing and stuff like that at home. And if I sit and do it and he sees me, sometimes he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm putting some paint on a miniature. Do you want to put some paint on a miniature?" And he might say, "No, I'm fine." And then he'll leave, and then that's fine. And then a week later he'll be like, "Are you painting miniatures soon, Dad?" And I'm like, "Yeah, do you want to paint?" And he's like, "Fine, sure." And then I just give him a miniature and I just give him some paint, and then he can do whatever he wants. And sometimes he asks me, if he can paint miniatures, and he thinks it's fun just to put some paint on there, but he thinks it's fun to just put paint on paper as well and draw. He's very much into, currently he's doing forgery. He's making money, dollar bills, like $1 million bills, lots of them. And then when I'm doing the cooking, he comes in and he's like, "Here's your salary for cooking dinner." And I'm like, "Thanks for the appreciation, kid. I'm glad you like the food." But yeah, I'd say just you visually doing it, like if he can see you paint, so that if you only sit in the evenings and paint after he's gone to bed, then he doesn't know it exists and it won't interest him because he doesn't see you do it. If you can just sit for like, even if it's just for 15 minutes during the day while he's doing something else, he can see you doing it, and then he might get interested because of that. And then you can also ask him, like, do you want to just try it out? And you'll just have to be fine with the fact that the kid says no, and then maybe he says yes the fourth time you ask. But I think most importantly is seeing, because they don't know what it is or if it's fun or like what's the point of it. Just and even if you say like, I really like painting miniatures, they're like, they've got no idea. So seeing you do it is probably a really good start. That was a very long answer to your question. The Pickle Jar says, yeah, likely spend a bit of time on the channel, but after the last term at school, I'm ready for a rest. I can definitely get that. Giles, how you doing? Greetings from Switzerland. I'm glad I can finally join after putting the kids to bed. Please send encouragement to help me finish the batch of 20 Cadians who've been on my desks for 3 months. Okay, I will. If you send me for my 10 Stormcast that have been on my bench for 2 years. But I'm definitely go paint Cadians. Giles, you can do it. Oh, and Novogorod, if you actually, your kid enjoys painting, is, if he likes the concept of like would like to try, you can always ask what he would like to paint and see if you can get a hold of it without it being too expensive. And because like my son is like, I want a really big dragon, Dad. And I'm like, okay, cool. I've got a 3D printer. I'll print a big dragon. And he thought it was really, really fun to paint it because he thinks it's a really, really cool dragon. It's like with us. We like to paint. I'm getting a bit stiff. We like to paint specific things. This is a miniature I like to paint. This is a miniature I don't like to paint. And it'll be the same with kids. And then I guess just there's going to be mess, and I've never said anything. It's just like, here's the brush, it could be a good idea to rinse it out every now and again, but you do what you want and just let him figure it out. But it's a bit tricky because I can tell that my son I'm not going to say he gets disappointed, but obviously he can see how I paint. And he's not even, I don't think, fully capable of painting at that level of detail, because it just he's still got kids' hands. They're a little bit fumbly, and he can't sit like this and just do the little thing. He probably maybe could if he practiced, but it's not. It's just a completely different thing. And so seeing my miniatures, and then he looks at his and he's like, well, there's a big blob of red and there's a big blob of blue. And sometimes you think that's cool. And sometimes I can notice that he's like, he can even ask me like, Dad, could you paint this miniature so it looks nice? Because he wants it to look nice. And so I guess it's just about trying to encourage, like, oh, it looks great. Why don't you just paint another one? And just keep encouraging them. I mean, worst case, you can have a supply of miniatures, and then you can just keep stripping the paint off of them and just have an endless supply. The End says 52 workshops coming one day. I mean, I really like to do workshops, but I kind of need a collaborator. I need someone who's like, can you do workshops here? Well, can you do workshops in? Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do this. Because I don't have the time to sit to plan one. Honestly, it's like there's too many. It would be like, do you want a YouTube video, or do you want me sitting planning potential workshops? It'd be better if someone just, hi Alex, here's an idea. TFTF, how are you doing? I hope you're well. I wonder why almost no miniature manufacturers are using 360 view of their miniatures online. Games Workshop does, don't they? Maybe they're the only ones. I'd assume that most miniature manufacturer, apart from Games Workshop and like, I don't know, other big ones like Mantic maybe, or Infinity, Corvus Belly, or whatever. It's actually pretty small businesses, and like I don't even really know. You know, what does the cost of a rig to take the 3D picture things, or is it just a 3D render, and how does that? I think it's just about the cost, honestly. I think everyone could do it, and everyone would probably be like, "Sure, fine, I'd like that." But I mean, honestly, some miniature manufacturers haven't even got websites that work or where you can find things, because they're terrible websites, because they don't have the money to pay someone to make a good website, kind of. Cyborg Sloth. When I lived a bit more north, I used to have a local store I could go visit. I really miss it now that I don't have any nearby. Yeah, I really like going to the game store. I'm secretly a little bit disappointed with Alpha Spell at the moment. And I still think they're great, and I love the fact that they exist. But they've just moved a lot of their stock away from the store. So I was there a while back to get some things, and they were not in stock. They have them, but in another location, because they need to be more efficiently doing. They needed a more efficient space for all their web. Whoa, that light went out. That was dramatic, because I pulled the plug out. Hold on a minute. See, that's better. The green is back. Because they were having inefficiencies with all the stuff that they're shipping, and so they needed another location for that. And so then they needed to split up their stocks, some in the store and some and they have tons and tons of stuff. So I can just imagine the mess the place probably was. But I just loved having a store where I could go and get anything, you know. Have you got that Green Stuff World roller? Yes, of course we do. Now it was like, no, we haven't got that particular one. We got this one and that one. The other ones are in the other place, and then you have to order it, and then we can bring it into the shop, and you can come back tomorrow or whatever. And I was like, no, I kind of just, yeah. I'll get used to it. I just don't like it. James says, my 3-year-old dragged my wife into the Warhammer shop, asking her to get me something to paint after he saw the minis in the window. For context, we don't go to the Warhammer shop. He just saw it. That's pretty cool. Andrew says, wanted to mention that I share some of your videos with my non-painter family and friends, because they explore more than just techniques. They've enjoyed them. I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you, Andrew, for letting me know. John Ashley Smith says, I started my daughter out with finger paints and gradually graduated her to tempera, then watercolors. She is now going to a local college for their 4-year program in illustration. Good work, John Ashley Smith. My eyes are really good. It's only 7 minutes left. I can hardly see things anymore. It's like pixels. James says, my 18-year-old daughter was like me, born with the pen in her hand. She's now a digital artist. It's cool. Everyone's got grown-up artists around here. It's pretty rad. Mark Flanagan, thank you for the donation. Says, keep forgetting there's a super chat. I agree. People seem to be forgetting it. Please remember that there's a super chat. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the donation. Thank you very much. All right. There was something I wanted to say, which I have forgotten. Which probably wasn't important. No, it's gone. I was going to say something that was supposed to be important, but it's gone. I think there's about 5 minutes left, but I think I'm going to round things off now. I'll wait a little bit because Robert also gave me a nice donation. Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate it. And Mr. Bear, thank you very much. $2 for the Replace Alex Camera Fund. Thank you. Yeah, I do appreciate it. Wait, can I press? There's a heart. Oh, look, see, I can press the heart button as well on the donations. Isn't that nice? But yeah, I thank you for filling up the camera replacement fund. And Isaac, have you been in here? You're very late. I was just about to finish this off. You just come in here and you throw your money around. It's like, hi, which I appreciate. Please, I'm not correcting you in any way. It's just look, I'll give you a heart. And James as well. Everyone's giving. But all these patrons are already giving me money. You're giving me more money, which is very nice of you. Thank you all. Now I feel really bad for ending the. I was just going to end the stream because I feel that both my eyes and my mind is they're frying out. I've been sitting in front of the computer the entire day since about 8 o'clock this morning. See, fried brain. Thank you, guys. It's Friday evening. It's about 9 o'clock. I'm just going to actually pack up 2 miniatures that I'm going to ship off to someone, and then I'm going to call this evening an evening. It's been great hanging out. I've missed you guys. It was a while back I streamed, but it feels like ages ago, and it's been great to get to say hi to you all again. And thank you for all coming out and keeping me company. And I was going to drill a hole in a head and put it on a stick, but it didn't happen. So that's all right. Hope you have a great weekend. And there should be a new, as I said at the beginning of the stream, there should be a new video out probably early next week, or like Tuesday or something. We'll see. It's pretty much done. And then we'll see. There might be a bit of a holiday break, kind of, like a next little gap for a week or something. Don't really know. Haven't planned anything, but I should probably just take some time off, or I'll collapse in a pile of whatever. Yeah, collapsed YouTuber pile. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Good night.